Hi, everybody. It's Agnes, and welcome to an interview. Today it is with Kim Velez in Florida. Hello, Kim.
Hi.
Kim and I were actually part of a foursome with other coaches not long ago, which I've uploaded recently, and I really wanted to get Kim on by herself. So, Kim, welcome to the discussion interview that we're going to have together. I wanted to talk about two things. The first thing that we discussed was the difference and the importance of trust versus dissatisfaction. So can you talk a bit about that?
Absolutely. So my take on trust versus dissatisfaction is kind of going back to Neville Goddard and living in the end and the wish fulfilled is trusting as part of that process, because as you're trusting, you're not questioning and doubting if you're going to get what you want. And if you were someone who was in a relationship or living with the manifestation, the desire that you want, then you wouldn't be worrying and doubting and being dissatisfied and not happy in life. You'd be looking at life very differently. So that's kind of how my take is on it, that when people are dissatisfied, they're focusing on lack. They're worrying, where is it? How come it's not here? And that's what really blocks them from the manifestation coming in.
Yeah. It is. The energy of dissatisfaction is it's such a handbrake.
Yes, I love that
to
term.
things coming in.
Yes.
And the energy of being really satisfied and at peace. And Abraham Hicks talks about that. Be happy where you're at. Make peace with where you're at. She says that all the time.
Yes. Well, it's so true, because if we're like, people don't understand that it's a habit to be stuck in the past and have like that habitual thinking pattern that's really unhealthy. And when we do that, all we're doing is creating our future with our past.
Yeah.
So we keep creating what we don't want. And that's why she always says, like, be in the moment and be happy and satisfied, because that's the energy you're creating from to create your future.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Kim, but I'm seeing a lot of dissatisfaction when I'm working with people or in emails and things like that. The energy is, I know I'd feel so much better if I could have that, whether it's more money, a meaningful job, a relationship, a specific person, whatever it is. And that energy, you're not really going from having no money to more money, from being alone to being with a specific person, an ex, or having a brand new relationship.
Right.
Really trying to iron out the wrinkles of going from being totally unloved, dissatisfied, feeling not good enough, whatever it is, to those things flipped into the other positive, being worthy, loved, happy, abundant, whatever it is. You're going from that to that.
Right. Right. Yes, I all the time. It's like, and this is where I think people don't really understand why self-love is powerful. Because I had a woman one time comment to me. She was so upset when she came in my Facebook group, and she was like, I thought this was just teaching how to manifest. And I'm like, well, of course we talk about like intentionally manifesting, but she was so upset that we were talking about self-love. And I'm like, no, we're always creating from energy. So when you're creating from love, and the energy is from within, which is self-love, then that's what's going to be reflected back to you in your relationships and experiences in life. And when people, to me, are only looking at the mechanics and how to do a manifestation technique, they're not really creating from the right kind of energy, because I just have to do this and do this so I feel better, you know?
Yeah.
And that's that dissatisfaction. That's the unloving, I'm not good enough, lack, needy, clingy, desperate. And then they keep getting the same result. So it's like, you have to go within and you have to love and be love in order to receive that back in your life. That's my own personal journey. And I know that's what works for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I see you know, especially for those people that work a lot with Abraham Hicks techniques or Neville techniques or Louise Hay or all of that. No, I will remove Louise Hay because she was heavy on self-love.
Yeah.
If you're doing imaginal scenes, visualizing, vision boards, scripting, whatever you're doing, which are all living in the end techniques, but you've got a heavy coating of neediness underneath, it can't stick.
Right.
It doesn't, the living in the end, you're going to default back to, I'm not loved, I'm not wanted, I'm not good enough. And that's the strongest energy that's emitting from you. You
Yes.
trying to put a little imaginal scene that you visualize every night for 5-10 minutes when you got that going on all day.
Right.
I
feel
cut
the
it.
same way. It's not. And that's the thing is people think like, if I do these tools or these techniques, but it's like, you're not manifesting from the technique, you're manifesting and creating from your energy.
Yeah.
So exactly, girl, you speak my language, because this is what I'm telling you. That's why I love you, because I have been driving this point home. I actually did a video like, are you really living in the end? Because people think like living in the end means exactly what you said. I visualize for 5 minutes before I go to sleep. I get what I want. And then all day long, they're cranky and they're miserable and they hate their life. And they're just waiting for this manifestation to, you know, show up for them to feel excited or joy. And I'm like, but that's not living in the end.
No.
You know, it's changing your state of being, but you do that by loving yourself, because self-love is, to me, it means like putting your happiness and well-being above all. Like you honor that and cherish that. You don't put someone else over you or put an object over your well-being.
Yeah, exactly. And it's doing, like you talking about the self-love, doing the self-love for you because it improves your life overall, irregardless of relationship. You're doing it because it makes your quality of life. It's a mindfulness that you bring to your day, to your world, to your 24 hours of you being alive. It's not about, I'm just going to get this done quick so I can get over there where he is, where she is, where my ex is, where my SP is, whatever. You're doing it to improve the richness of your experience on this planet for this 24 hours.
Yeah. And how often do you hear when people don't do that, that even when they manifest like their ex back or SP, that the same pattern happens and they leave again?
Yeah.
And, you know, because even I think the ones on your channel, once they get your self-love, then they're like, oh my God, when I finally was focusing on me, like for real, not just doing it, trying to get them back, they usually do end up coming back in, because people, like, they don't understand when your mind is obsessing and is fixated on someone else than you, then like that energy is radiating out of them. It's like smothering and like it can't breathe. And I know like my people freak out on my channel when I talk about letting go. Like they get, we don't like that, and what does that mean? And I'm like, it means you're free and you're gonna get what you want. That's what it means.
I always get the question, yeah, but you tell me to focus on my desire, but then you tell me to let go. So how am I supposed to do that? So what would you say to that question?
I would say that I would teach them what living in the end is.
Yep.
That you're not obsessing and fixated, that you're coming from a place of certainty and trust and assuming that what you want will manifest. And you're releasing the how and the when, because the universe is a higher extension of yourself. So it's doing its job, and you have to get the ego out of the way to let your higher self do its job and bring in the best avenue for you.
Yeah.
Because it's people really, and when, you know, and when they say that, right, we're like, okay, we know they're still in that needy, desperate space, because they're still trying to go outside of themselves to feel better, to feel loved, to feel like they matter. And it's like, but you have to make yourself feel like that. Because I always challenge, you know, my clients with, how are you showing up in your life as a priority? You know, you want someone to make you a priority. And I used to be that girl. Like I get it 1,000%. Like, you need to make me a priority, but I didn't make
Yeah.
myself a priority. I would put them above me. I was
Yep.
so flexible and over accommodating. And I wasn't valuing myself, and I tolerated, stuff that I probably shouldn't have in the
Mm-hmm.
past. So how can, if we do that to ourselves, then how can we even expect someone to do it for us when we don't do it for ourselves?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one, because you do hear that a lot. I want them to make me a priority. I feel like they don't think, I'm not important to them. I don't matter to them. It's like, yeah, but it's the law of assumption in action. What you assume is what you get. What you assume is what you
Yes.
get. And like you're saying, you're making them more important than you, and
Yes.
they're not going to make you as important. That's just how it
Yes.
works.
And to me, that's what self-love is, because self-love is like, I make myself a priority no matter what, and I take care of me. And we're
Mm.
not looking, because when I look at my past of men that I dated, they were very good at making themselves a priority.
Yes.
They had no problem living their life and doing what was to their benefit, and not in a
Yeah.
negative way. And
Yeah.
so it really started shifting my whole, how I give up power in relationships by putting them
Mm.
on that pedestal, and just kind of devaluing myself and overvaluing them and what they mean to me, right? So
Yeah.
then I had to shift that thinking, like, no, the way I feel about them, I have to feel about myself first and
Yeah.
foremost and always. And it's a process, right?
It is. It is. Like you say, I mean, I've done it too. So when you hear it, you know it because you've done it, and you've
Yes.
slowly winched yourself away from it over the years. I agree with you. The men I've had relationships with were incredibly good at that. And I look at that now as they were actually showing me how to do it, and I was missing the whole thing. I didn't
Yes.
see it.
Yes. I didn't either. But see, because I think as women, we're trained so different than men,
Yeah.
because men are really like raised in society to be strong. And I'm generally speaking, or, but compartmentalize, to be the highest achiever, to kind of be like these go-getters and driven. That's, how society kind of grooms them, at least in the US. I don't know
Yeah. Yeah.
where you're, right? The same
Yeah.
over in Australia and
Yeah.
France and London.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And then women were kind of, we just want to love and that
Yeah.
nurture. And one of the things I learned too about self-love, or just power in relationships, which really helped my thinking, was I can't love a man the way I love my child.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. Like, I grew up in foster care. I didn't have like a good family, nurture and supportive love. So when I got into a romantic relationship, I just wanted to do everything for them because it was me wanting to love
Yeah.
someone. But as a woman, like, I don't want to love a man the same way you love your child. So that was like a mindset shift for me that really helped me gain my power back in
Mm.
relationships. Like, you love them as a man, as an adult, not a child.
Yep.
I don't want to run behind them and do everything and try to take
Yeah.
care of them. But I think a lot of women are raised that way.
Yeah. And it's that thing, if I do that, then they won't leave me.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
kind of driven by fear of abandonment.
Yes.
Mm.
100%.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
And then we allow, well, they don't like it. Most of them don't. They'll take it for granted and advantage, because people don't understand this too, that human nature is to get as much as you can. And people don't all the time, like, are aware of it. It's not like, some people are, but most people aren't like, oh, I'm just going to take advantage of this person today. It's just
Mm.
becomes a pattern and just the
Yes.
way it is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then you fall in this dynamic where you're not feeling valued because you're still not valuing yourself. And then they're just, whatever, she's not going anywhere, I'm just going to keep, they don't have to step up and do anything different because you're there accepting it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they get mad at the person.
Yeah, and then they get mad at the person. And I do think that comes from the generations above us, like our grandparents and our parents. That kind of dynamic was those roles were much more locked in place at that time. In this generation, not so much.
Yeah.
I think men these days, and rightly so, expect a woman to actually not be seeking all the security from him, that she needs
Yes.
to bring her own security to the relationship. And I'm not talking about just financial, I'm talking about emotional.
Yeah.
emotional security. It's not his job to always do that. Whereas I see in my mom's generation, my grandparents' generation, it was like the man's job to do that for her. Whereas
Right.
now, not so
No.
much. The
Well, it
roles
doesn't
are,
work.
no,
Yeah.
it
And back
doesn't
then,
work.
no, and back then, like women, we couldn't really work. So like your job, like you couldn't go out and take care of yourself. So you just stayed in whatever the hell you were married to, whether it was
Yeah.
happy or not. And
Yeah.
you just lived that way because you didn't really have options. And people
Mm.
didn't marry for love, back in the 1700s. And before that, they were marrying for wealth and status. And
Yeah.
it's a new concept to marry for love. I mean, I think,
Mm.
looking back at how long life has been going on.
Yeah.
So, and then when we don't have healthy templates, right? Because no one teaches us self-love. We have no idea what it is until we start, like one day we wake up and we're like, wow, all my relationships end up the same. Like,
Yeah.
good. And I'm not getting what I want. So it must be me,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That took me 5 relationships to have that moment.
Yeah, it's good though, but you got the moment, it
You
took
get
me,
eventually you
I had more than that. I had more than 5,
yeah,
trust me.
yeah. But I think you get to a point where you go, hang on, it's not just I've picked the wrong guy, I'm the common denominator. You have that moment, it's devastating.
Yes, yes. I remember the first serious one, I blamed him 100%. He was, I made him the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then the second one that was the same outcome, I blamed him like 80%. I was, well, I could see a little bit of my pattern in this. Then the third one, I was like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? And then it took me a couple more after that to like break through the patterns in the relationships, because I would do some of the work and then it still would show up. So I still had to really, and it took me a while to really understand everyone as you pushed out. So I'm like, I'm doing this. It's not them.
I know.
But
It's
we get the
a
light bulb
moment.
moment.
You do.
And
And your relationships do get, even though they
better.
might end, they get progressively better because you take,
Yes.
I like how you went from 100 to 80 and then from 80 you get.
I'm still at like, no. Now I'm like, all right, they get 10% of the blame. I take
Yeah.
the 90.
Yeah. With my partner, I go, what the hell have I got going on if he's doing that?
And that's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, because you kind of go, I can't blame him. Yeah.
No, and it's so hard. Like I think manifesting your specific person back, but maintaining, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because when it's not, that period when it's still really rocky and you're not getting what you want, and people usually give up after like a month or two. And like I know, so I just recently broke up with mine a month ago, like for good.
Yeah.
And I'm very transparent. I share with anyone who's on my channel and watching, like I don't hide stuff. There's no point.
Yeah.
And for me, I did it because my resistance, no matter how much I was focusing on what I want, because I'm very good at mastering that, but I had a lot of resistance when I was still with him. So for me, because I know what I believe, I'm like, I'm just going to let him go so I can get myself grounded. And I know he'll come back when I'm ready to have him back.
Yeah.
So I ended things and I've disconnected myself from him, and it felt so damn good, because that was me letting go of the resistance.
Yeah.
So some people, I know that's not the answer all the time, but I always talk about, like, you have to know yourself very well and understand when resistance is coming up, because we're all different with it. And I knew, because I had been dealing with his stuff for like 3 months, and I'm like, I have to release him, because I'm not going to get what I want with this much resistance I'm creating. And I didn't want to spend another 3-6 months feeling that way.
Yep.
And dealing with the shifts of the energy. I'm just like, it's not worth it when I can just let him go and he'll come back.
Yeah. And it's actually easier to do the work on your own sometimes.
Yes, so much easier.
Because you've just got you to contend with, not the dynamic or whatever. So Yeah, that
And,
sounds like a good act of self-love in that case. And you're not devastated? That's fantastic.
oh, no, my God, girl. I was like, I got so excited when I ended it with him, and he was just like, what? And he was like calling me and texting me. And I was like, oh my God, now I can get what I want. Like, and I'm so excited, you know, because I'm like, and for me, it's like, because my belief, because this is what I do, like, I've manifested many specific persons back in my life, and it always works well for me when I release them
Yeah.
and just do what I need to do. They always come back. And then
Yeah.
I feel so much more empowered because, well, you know, and I believe this too, like when we're creating, when we're with someone and they're not, if it's not working out the way that feels fulfilling, like I agree with you. For me, my self-love was that this man, the distance was growing after a year, where we were
Yeah.
together almost a year instead of getting closer. So I'm like, if I action wise settle for the crumbs he decided to start giving me, then I'm not in alignment with what I want for myself.
Okay. Yeah, but what's
So,
great is you didn't try and control or pressure or manipulate him to give it to you. You went,
nope,
okay, cool, I'll step back.
yep,
Totally fine. You weren't in any kind of lack about it. You just went, I know what I need to do. I need to realign with what I want. That's a brilliant,
yes.
brilliant,
And you know
brilliant
what?
ending.
I believe this too, that there's 7 billion people on the planet. So I come from a place of abundance rather than lack. That, okay, he's amazing. My preference would be to have it work out with him. But I know with Abraham Hicks, she's always focused on what you want, focus on what you want. It comes the path of least resistance. So you have to train yourself to believe in that. You've already I've manifested him twice already. I
Yeah.
manifested him the first time, and then the second time when I ended things with him, it was a fake ending. I like half ended. We ended up bumping into each other randomly, like in this place that was just weird for us to meet. And then we picked up where we left off, and then
Yeah.
nothing had changed because it
Yeah.
was only a month, you know? So then I realized quickly, like, okay, nothing's changed. So I need
Yeah.
to do this for me because he'll come back. I'm not worried about it. And if not, there's 10 other people I'll bump into at some point when
Yeah.
I'm in my alignment that will be even better. So that,
It's
I mean,
wonderful to hear someone, because I think that's what happens. It's like if you break up with someone, your
yeah,
recovery rebound where you get back to feeling good is so much shorter.
yes. Oh, it's so much shorter. And like, listen, there's moments, and it's been a month now since we've not, you know, talked in a month. And there's a moment or two that pops up where I miss him, or, you know, a doubt kicks in, but I don't stay in it because
Yeah.
we have the power to choose what we want to create. So if I'm
Mm.
focusing on the lack and what the old version was, I don't want that version of him anyways. I
Yeah.
want the new improved that I'm putting my energy in, whether it's him or someone else, it's going to be better. So I
Yeah.
just switch out of it, because when you're focusing on that story from the past, it's not true, because what is always rooted in, I wasn't good enough, he didn't love
Yeah.
me, why
Yeah.
does he not miss me? Like, that's the crap we tell ourselves. He
Yeah.
must have, our connection really didn't mean anything, but it's
Mm.
not true, right?
Yeah. It's only what your interpretation is of the situation.
Yes.
I love your interpretation, and I love how you've managed to stay out of dissatisfaction about it. And you, coming back to our very first thing we talked about, trust.
Yeah. Oh, yes. You have to see. And this is what I try to teach the ladies in my Facebook, is that don't be afraid to let go and release someone, because if you're sitting
Yes.
there trying to change your thoughts and beliefs, and
Yeah.
it's 2, 3, 4 months go by and nothing's changing, then you have way too much resistance, because you would see a shift happening.
Yeah.
So that's your indicator that maybe you need to step out of the relationship or pull back
Yeah.
to put your energy back on you. But you have to know yourself. But
Yeah.
most women don't, because exactly, they stay in the dissatisfaction,
Yes.
and they don't trust that they'll be able to manifest something better with that person, or somebody
Yeah.
else will come who's even, because every time I release someone, when they come back to me, if I want them, I'll entertain them. If I don't, I always get a better level up
Yeah.
upgrade, always.
Better upgrade.
Yes, every time I'm like, I get a better man, a caliber of man coming through my door.
Yeah. You are, I think, the happiest breakup person I've ever seen. It's brilliant.
Well, I did have a meltdown, like, I think the first time I broke up with him, and I shared it on my Facebook. I was so raw, and I'm like, it is what it is. Sometimes you just have to feel it. And,
Yeah.
I don't stuff my emotions. Like, if I want to cry, I feel like that's my soul kind of releasing, but I
Yeah.
don't play a negative story that's going to make me cry.
Yes.
It's just
Different.
clearing the energy. Yeah, like I had the
Yeah.
heavy energy of just accepting that I have to release him now so I can do what I need to do. And that was part of my healing process. So I
Yeah.
cried maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then I just changed my thought. And then 2 days later, or actually it was 8 hours later, we bumped into each other randomly. So I was like, oh,
Yeah.
look at this. I just manifested him back. And then
It's-
now I'm like,
yeah.
I don't even care. I'm living my life. I have so much good stuff. Like, it always works out,
It always works out. But
if you
you,
believe.
if you believe that you're loved, and if you believe that you're good enough, and if you believe that you're secure, then you just end up at the right place at the right time, because it's your energy is what corrects everything. It just corrects
Yes.
it. I'm
Yes.
so impressed that people are going to get to see this, because I hear, and you do too, I'm sure, people taking years to get over a breakup,
Yes.
and it doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And that's the thing, is that we get to choose how we feel and what we focus on and the beliefs. So you can choose to be dissatisfied and and like just stay stuck in these stories that aren't true, because anytime, listen, you miss the person, there is a withdrawal process chemically we go through if you were like really in love. I wasn't really in love at 10 months. I was in extra so like for
Yeah.
me, it wasn't like, years and years. I wasn't living with him. I didn't have, get used to the pattern of like all the time every day, but I would see him multiple times a week. We talked all the time. So I missed the connection, but I don't dwell in that, because that's not going to create what I want in the future. But, going back to, it's really my connection with me is my priority. So I don't want to sit and feel like shit. Like, I've done that enough time in my life.
Yep.
Right? That doesn't feel good. So like him, like, he's not here and he wasn't making me feel good. I have to make myself feel good.
Yeah. Isn't that an empowering understanding of relationships? That one thing.
Yes.
I can be broken up, but I could still actually potentially feel quite good if I focus my mind in the right way.
Yeah. And just trust, like, there's abundance. So you're going to have love.
Yeah.
Why can't you have it? And who cares? Sorry, the alarm's going off. And like, people just get so scared, like, oh, I'm never going to talk to them again. And it's like, go back to you and trust. Where's your trust that you're going to get what you want?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I was like, when you get that manic feeling when you're like in that state of flow, right? And so as soon as I broke up with him, I was like, oh, I'm going to get what I want. I got so fucking excited. I'm like, yes, and now I'm going to get what I want. Cause I wasn't going to get what I want staying in that, I was like, oh, I got to let this go,
Yeah.
Now I'm so excited. I'm just like, I don't even know who I'm going to bump into, like how he's going to surprise me. Like, it's going to be amazing.
I love your glass half full mental state in the midst of this. That is going to be the golden nugget of this interview, to show that it doesn't have to be that you suffer in your breakup or your separation. I mean, it's not that you don't feel stuff, but you don't stay there endlessly stuck in that emotion. That is brilliant. I'm so glad you shared that. That is huge.
Thank you. It just kind of came out.
Well, I'm going to put everything down below that Kim and I discussed. I'm going to put Kim's details, her YouTube channel, her Facebook group, etc., for you to connect with her. And Kim and I had a chat before this. We are going to do this more regularly together because we want to.
Like each other. We like each other.
We do. Brilliant. All right. Kim, do you want to say bye to everybody?
Yes. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much, Agnes, and I cannot wait to talk to you again.
Lovely. Bye, everybody. see you, you know when and you know where.